Before we talk about Southampton's quite ridiculous valuation over Kyle Walker-Peters, can't really go any further in this video without talking about the football last night. Yes, England are beating the Netherlands to line up a final appearance against Spain in Euro 24. I have given Gareth Southgate fair amounts of stick. Footballing stick. I've never been personal about him, but footballing stick. On this channel for his negative tactics and lack of substitutions and a lot of other stuff. He got his substitutions absolutely spot on. Completely and utterly delighted. It's funny, you get into a final when you very, very quickly forget how you got it. I don't mean forget. I know we were crap in the group stage and whatnot, and we've ridden our luck at times, but there has been drama. It's been, highly dramatic, I think, with the overhead kick from Jude Bellingham to get through. The penalty shootout was hugely important. Obviously, the long-range goal from Saka as well. There has been drama in this, there's no doubt about it at all. You can't help but start to believe, start to wonder if it's going to be your year. And yes, it's not been the best football along the way, but we're here now, and I'm really, really looking forward to the final. Actually, can't wait for it. It's going to be, hopefully, it's going to be absolutely brilliant. Got to say, first half for England were really good, and having said in the build-up show that I wouldn't have played Phil Foden. I would not have played him in the game. I would have dropped him for this game. But look, shows how little I know. I thought he was brilliant in that first half. Absolutely sensational. And I did wonder if England had been so bad for so long and hadn't clicked. I did suggest that maybe at some point they might click if they did. We got a good team on our hands. Well done. Second half was very different. Southgate needed to find a way through. And, bringing on Palmer, bringing on Watkins, absolutely excellent. And not afraid to substitute two big hitters in Phil Foden and Harry Kane as well. So, absolutely brilliant. Well done, Gareth Southgate. Well done, England. Cannot wait for the final. Really gives us something to get our teeth into and look forward to. That's for sure. Anyway, it's funny enough, as I record this now, it's about half hour, 45 minutes after the game has finished, and as I'm sure we all do, we go and check the West Ham stories and the West Ham news, and Talk Sport are leading with the fact that Kyle Walker-Peters, who obviously is Southampton's right back, he's wanted by West Ham. There have been suggestions that West Ham have already agreed the wages for the player. Southampton want not only Flynn Downes, but also £10 million on top. Now, I think it's fair to say, look, we paid £12 million for Flynn Downes, something like that. He had a really, really good loan spell on the South Coast at Southampton last season. Really good. And I think most people would probably... Sorry, I'm just checking my microphone there. I think most people would probably concede that we were looking at something in the £15 million mark, something like that for him. Certainly when it was suggested that we'd be up with our money back and he was a £12 million player, there was a lot of people who pushed back on that and said, no, he's surely worth more than that. 15 seems to be the general consensus. So if Flynn Downes is worth 15 million and they want £10 million on top of him, that's obviously valuing Kyle Walker-Peters at 25 million. I mean, that seems a little bit steep. Decent player, but I'm scratching my head here. Have West Ham ever paid that sort of money for a fullback? We've spent some money on centre-backs in our time, haven't we? Certainly even in recent years. I believe even when Issa Diop was brought over from Toulouse, Issa Diop was about 20 million quid, weren't he? He was a fair whack of money. Obviously, discount Max Kilman, because that's just happened. That's a lot of money, of course, but even before that. Kurt Zuma, 25, 30 million. Naifa Gerd, just over 30 million. We can spend big money. We spend big money on centre-backs. Do we ever really throw the money at the full-backs? No, and perhaps we should have done. To be fair, there have been points in West Ham's history where full-back has been a bit of a problem position. I remember when we got Lucas Neal. I remember getting Lucas Neal and thinking, he'd sorted out a problem position at the time. I don't feel we've ever been particularly good with it. What did we pay? 13 million for Emerson? Look, good player. Absolutely. But 25 million for us is big money. Big money for a fullback. I don't know. I don't know. I do believe here, actually. In fact, I do know. I do know what I do. And that is, I think I would probably at this point say, do you know what? Forget it. Let's go for Wan-Bissaka. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I do think Walker-Peters is probably going to be the better attacking option. But I don't think Wan-Bissaka is as bad at attacking as some people might suggest. Wan-Bissaka might be 12, 13 million himself. We might as well just do that and then keep the asset of Flynn Downes. And I'm not adverse to playing hardball with Southampton. We've got a decent old relationship with Southampton. We absolutely have. In as much as we've done business with them, both for Flynn Downes on loan, we've done business with them in terms of bringing in James Ward-Prowse. And even recently, we have agreed to offset and subsidise some of Danny Ings' wages. So there's open dialogue between West Ham and the Saints. However, I think sometimes you can push your luck a little bit. And clearly even if money's not completely tight, we've got to watch our budget a little bit. I'll tell you one thing, I do know that Southampton want Flynn Downes. So I think it's a case of saying, well, do you know what? We're not going to forget Kyle Walker-Peters. You can keep him if you want Flynn Downes. He's going to cost you 15 million. But he may not be available. Because here's the other thing. The rumours were within the last week or two that Downes has rocked up the training at West Ham. Obviously, the club are at in Austria at the moment, at the pre-season training camp, and had a few days at Rush Green. Apparently, quite likes it. Apparently, he's wondering now if he can get the opportunity to impress under Lopetegui. Lopetegui said to a number of players that everyone gets a fair chance. I'm really, really interested. There's a lot of interesting things going on at West Ham at the moment. I've been really intrigued to know what happens with Thomas Souček. I suspect he's not the type of player that Lopetegui would want or is going to use or is going to be a certain regular starter. I think Souček probably deserves to be a regular starter somewhere, and he would probably want that. Now, I may be totally wrong. We may well see a completely different Thomas Souček. You've seen it before, haven't we? More technical managers come in and they get players that formerly were not particularly skillful and they get them playing in a skillful fashion. So I might be wrong. Maybe Thomas Souček has got a future at West Ham. However, it would not totally surprise me if the manager took a look at Flynn Downes and he's a very, very good technical passer and says, you know what, I want him involved in the team. In which case, he's not even available for sale anyway. So I may well be persuaded, I think, if I was in charge, to call Southampton's bluff on this one. Wan-Bissaka, 12 million, something like that, supposedly. Well, we might as well just do that. Honestly, we really might as well. And then what do? We get the additional player in Flynn Downes, happy days, or Southampton want him, they have to pay us £15 million. All those... Look, I don't know how much of this is true, but you know, like you've got the concession tickets and West Ham, and what they've done is they've stopped concession tickets for new season ticket holders for next season. It's been suggested that that's between half a million. It's going to be between £500,000 and £1 million difference. Now, if that little amount of money, which is a small amount of money in terms of our turnover being 300 odd million last season, if that's the case, then you've got to really look at it and think, well, what's the point? What's the point if we're haggling over £500,000 here or £1 million there in terms of ticketing? Why wouldn't we just go and buy Wan-Bissaka and then have that asset here? It just makes absolute financial sense. I suspect it's going to run and run. It does feel like we're going to get one of these two players. And again, it feeds into that story, that those rumours where we're going to put a bid in for Wan-Bissaka this week, which came from a very good source up in the northwest. How true it is, I don't know. Not my source. I couldn't possibly tell you. But I wouldn't be disappointed if we go and get Wan-Bissaka. And just sometimes, you know what it's like. Sometimes people just push too hard for a deal, don't they? And then there has to be a point where you just cut off and just say, do you know what? I'm going to walk away. Because I tell you what, I think Southampton are really desperate for Flynn Downes. So the only question is, are Southampton more desperate for Flynn Downes than we are for Kyle Walker-Peters? Well, if we've got an option there and it's Aaron Wan-Bissaka, then I suspect the answer to that question would be yes.